Okay, so I'm quite honestly terrified about doing this video. This is the video on saddle fit. Couple of reasons. The biggest is this topic is basically infinite. There's a million different schools of thoughts, and there's a lot of information out there that's both good and bad online. So I don't want to just make more noise and throw more stuff out there. I'm going to keep things very simple and very short. Basically, when it comes to saddle fit, there's 9 things that affect whether the saddle fit is correct or not. Now, these things are pretty universal, and my horse hates being tied up. He's basically never tied up, so he's probably going to be a bit of a clown. Now, there's a great video by Joachim Schlazer. He is the GOAT as far as I'm concerned. He is absolutely brilliant. He's a guy that much like myself, has a history of making mistakes and having learned from them. Now, he's an exceptionally good rider, rode at incredibly high levels, and his horse passed a lameness test. He then put the saddle on and went out, and the horse failed the lameness test. So he realized saddles were harming horses, and he's since devoted his life to getting saddle fit correct. Just search the 9 points of saddle fit on YouTube. That'll come up. I don't think I can do a better video than that guy. He is absolutely amazing, and I defer to greatness. However, I will just quickly cover on my horse who's affectionately known as the big grey dickhead, something that we're going to be talking about often enough that I need to cover it, and that is the saddle support area. So when I talk about a saddle support area, there's only a very limited area on the horse in which we can ethically place weight. Now, we've got pressure points that we need to avoid, as well as the shoulder, and we don't want to put pressure past the last rib. So in short, the area on which we can place weight on this horse, we have pressure point here. Obviously the withers can't touch that. There's a couple here we shouldn't touch. There's also coming across here. There's another couple in here. You can see moves straight away. There's a couple of pressure points there. We have a buck point here, which are things that we basically can't touch. We just don't touch them. So we can go from the rear of the shoulder along this loin here to the last rib. We've also got to be aware that the whole way down the spine there's nerve endings where they join the spine coming off. Now, if we have too narrow a channel, we can cause a lot of damage to them. So I'll start with the shoulder. One of the tricks for finding where the shoulder ends is it's quite often basically at the rear of the mane. So that's where Marengo's mane ends, and you can see here, you can feel on the big, big fluffy grey boy, you can see his shoulder there. Now the reason that's so important is basically if we stop this shoulder rolling through, the top of the shoulder blade is made of cartilage. Now if you damage that cartilage or break that cartilage up, it never heals. So you can ruin your horse by having a saddle that smashes into the shoulder here. This is one of the reasons why I can't stand English saddles, is so many of them have got, I'm not even going to go there, okay? So knowing that we can't go forward of that, we need to figure out how far back we can go. Now, the awesome thing about horses is they tell you. See, we've got his lovely line with his fur here. If you follow that line up, generally speaking, that's pretty much where the last rib meets the spine. Now, it's much easier if you dig in and feel and find it and Marengo and follow the ribs up. But you can see on my big fat fluff ball pony who's got his winter coat on, obviously that's going to be very difficult to find. So we can't place weight behind here. We can't place weight in front of that or restrict the shoulder. We can't go too close to the, or we can't go on the withers. The reason why the withers are a no-go area as well is if I were to grab you by the throat by surprise, you would get a physical response through your body. Now, when a stallion's trying to mate with a mare, he'll grab her here and she'll actually change her body position. So not just that, there's a lot of nerve endings, all other crap there as well, but the big thing is this, if we put pressure on this, it's going to change the way the horse carries itself. So we can't go too close to the spine, so we need a nice wide channel. Good 4 or 5 fingers through there, so we're not putting any pressure on them. But if we go too far down to the sides, we'll actually start to strip the loin and damage it from the ribs and things like that. So this area here is basically the only area on this horse where we can place weight. If we put weight outside of this, we're going to be doing the horse quite a bit of damage. This back here is the old buck point. If your saddle's too long, a few problems with a saddle that's too long. A saddle that's too long will often try and work its way forwards. Oh, the cat's going to get electrocuted. Ooh,
it will learn.
It'll learn.
It will learn.
So we got all of these sort of issues that come with incorrect saddle fit. But a saddle that's too long and putting pressure on this buck point, that can be a reason why you have a horse that's doing all kinds of silly things and chucking you off. A lot of issues that riders have where a horse is dangerous and things like that, I honestly believe they come from the horse being in pain. And if your saddle is incorrectly fitted, if your saddle is putting weight outside of these areas, you are potentially riding a dangerous horse. So the topic is huge. In the next video, I'm going to be chatting very briefly with a saddle fitter. I would honestly recommend people get a saddle fitter out. I think a saddle fitter, if you're riding at high levels, it's once a month, once every 2 months, just for average Joe blogs, as often as you can. But you really do need to spend some time getting your head around saddle fitting. If your saddle fit is incorrect, your horse will potentially be in pain, and a horse that's in pain is a dangerous horse. So if we're on the road, we have to have happy horses, pain-free horses, and that comes from understanding how this saddle support area interacts with the saddle and us. So I'm going to leave it at that. Check out the Joachim Schlazer videos, talk to the experts, and get your head around the fact that if your saddle fit is not correct, you will be causing the horse pain and you'll be causing the horse a lot of damage. So yeah, tough video to make. I'm really anxious about it, to be honest. I could talk saddle fit with people for weeks, so I'll leave it at that. Okay, so we've been back for about 6-7 weeks now. Banditi's shape's changed quite a bit. So yeah, 6 weeks, that's about how often is sort of what I consider the longest I'd go without checking and adjusting saddle fit. So for Banditi, the adjustment we're making today, we're adjusting the balance of the saddle. So I'm placing 2 shims, I'm marking my spot. Now, what this is going to do is just bring the front of that saddle up a little bit. I'll just make sure I get it exact, or as close to exact as possible. Okay, now I'll just check my channel's still good. You can see I've got nice wide channel, clear of the spine, particularly at the rear here. And we've just put those shims in and just lifted the front of the saddle a tiny bit. So often in endurance races, at sort of like the 60k mark or things like that, the horse, its shape's changed enough due to hydration and all kinds of other bits and bobs going on. Often people will chuck a riser pad in, they'll switch a pad out halfway through a race. This is sort of a similar sort of thing. So for me, having a saddle that can have its saddle fit adjusted that easily is really cool. And your horse has decided he's gonna sniff the other horses. So I will wrap the video up here. How'd your ride go, Lou?
I was really good.
And we made a difference. What did we do?
that little bit of adjustment, you saw how much it was. It completely changed it and helped, because I felt I was just always tipping out of my balance, and with the adjustment, it was just perfect. I was like, why didn't I do that a couple of days ago?
Yeah, 2 bits of 9mm neoprene. I just made it. I'm right in the middle of work, so there's crap everywhere. Yeah, pair of scissors. Just cut some 9mm neoprene off the roll. That's it. And having the ability to change a saddle fit like that easily, yeah, it's a big deal. So it was really noticeable.
Oh, it was definitely noticeable.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. That's why we want to have adjustable saddles and a bit of a knowledge on saddle fit.
Yes.
Because it was not hard to do.
No.
Effortless. Okay, we'll just quickly talk about checking saddle fit. I use these cool little saddle spiders here when I'm making my saddles and measuring up the horses, and I'll actually build each one of my saddles to fit the horse exactly. Now, you can get these online. I'll put a link there for them as well. They cost about $10. You can mold it to the shape of your horse, and you can see what sort of a contact you have with the saddle support area being what you've molded from the metal, and then with the underside of the saddle. From there, you need to have a bit of an understanding. I obviously want my nice free shoulder and numerous other things we'll talk about in saddles down the track. But yeah, I think I really have covered it with this saddle fit. The message I want to get across is not so much how to do it and every other thing. I want people to understand how important it is. There's tons of info out there. You need to go and do your own research. You need to get a good understanding of it. And if I were to make saddle fit videos, we would be doing it literally for, I don't know, 50 hours.